Hey, Broken World Entertainment, and it looks like things may have been changing behind the scenes with the DCU, because what we knew was The Authority was meant to be the second movie to arrive after Superman. That is now not the case, because we've just been given the release date and confirmation that the second movie in the line in the DCU will be Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So it is no longer The Authority. Yeah, so there is an article which we will have a look at, but it's interesting that they've already started to tinker with the announcements. It's like they said it was going to be Creature Commando on the small screen, then Superman on the big screen, then your next outing on the big screen would be The Authority, and then Batman, and so on and so forth. And now we're getting that it's going to be Superman first on the big screen, and that's going to be followed by Supergirl. So let's have a look at this. So as expected, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow will be the second DCU movie to release in theaters after James Gunn's Superman. Warner Brothers has just announced that our new Girl of Steel will take flight on June 26th, 2026. The studio also announced dates for a bunch of other movies. Craig Gillespie is set to direct Woman of Tomorrow, which will star Millie Alcock in the title role. This take on Kara Zor-El is said to be a less earnest and more edgy version of the iconic superheroine, as Gunn looks to move away from the previous depictions of the Girl of Steel, particularly the long-running CBS CW series fronted by Melissa Benoist. Gunn recently revealed that he actually had Alcock in mind to play Supergirl since seeing her performance in the HBO's Game of Thrones prequel series. Millie was the first person I brought up to Peter for this role well over a year ago when I had only read the comics the filmmaker posted on Trades. Isn't that interesting that he's going to give us the god-awful Tom King version of Supergirl, and in this he only admits that he's only read, once he was given the job, only read the Supergirl comic books. And the one he went for was the Tom King one. Jesus. So he also continues saying, I was watching House of the Dragon and thought she might have the edge, grace, and authenticity we need. According to a brief synopsis, this story will follow Kara as she travels across the galaxy to celebrate her 21st birthday with Crypto, the superdog. Along the way, she meets a young woman named Ruthie, I think it's Ruthie, and winds up on a murderous quest for revenge. It's worth noting that this is the premise of Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow comic, so the movie might well make a few changes. And the issue there as well is Tom King is working on the script with James Gunn. That's the biggest issue we have with this new DCU under James Gunn and Peter Safran, is it's known that Tom King is involved behind the scenes with the Superman movie that's been done and the Supergirl, and I think even the Batman. And it's amazing that Batman seems to be getting ignored so far. There's no we're at least putting out the feelers for the new Batman and whatnot. No, it's simply we're going from Superman to Supergirl. And then if you're going to give us this, what they're going to say is this big hopeful take on Superman, which the first image they put out didn't convey that at all. If that's what you're going to put out, and then the next movie you put out is going to be this essentially dark and dreary take on Supergirl, because like if it's the case of she's going on a murderous rampage and she wants to be less earnest and more edgy and stuff, that's going to be such a yin-yang from bright hopefulness, optimism and stuff to dark, dreary, murderous rampage. And then you're going to try and drop The Authority in then, and then Batman and stuff. And it's interesting because we know The Authority is getting set up in Superman because the engineer is in there. But we also know that Supergirl, Millie Alcock's Supergirl, will appear in a cameo, a very brief cameo, at the very end, possibly post-credit scene, to introduce her into the new DCU. So you're going on, oh well, we're going to set up the authority, but now we're going to skip over that and go into Supergirl. I have a feeling that that is probably a directive from Warner Brothers themselves, like Zaslav. I think it was the case of they might have been listening and seeing the fans and people like us here on YouTube and stuff going like, what are they thinking about putting The Authority as the second movie? That is just the dumbest idea. They may have come out and said, look, we're hearing this backlash towards you putting out The Authority next, that nobody knows who the hell it is. So you got to change that. And if they were like, well, we're not ready for Batman yet, they're like, fine, put Supergirl out then. You have her in this movie. Put her out. So it's possibly that Warner Brothers directly said, like, change the schedule. Change that. Because, like, if they were to put Superman out and if it gets mixed reviews, they're in trouble. And you don't want to follow that up with a absolutely unknown movie. And of course people say, well, no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and James Gunn put that out, and look how big and successful it was. Yeah, you're right. However, DC doesn't have exactly the best track record with any of their movies, really. Now, do they? So do you really want to put out a Superman movie that could possibly fail or get mixed reactions from people and say, well, the next movie is going to be someone you've never heard of? No, you would want to go with an established character that people know. It's the story that's going to really be the issue with the Supergirl movie, especially with Tom King working on it as well. And of course, Tom King working on this Superman. This Superman has to work, and they're already off to a very bad start with that first promotional image of Corn Sweat sitting down, looking miserable, putting on his boots while the city's getting destroyed behind him. Even though people are saying, oh, you know, that's not the real context of the image, you don't know what way it's meant to be and stuff. It's like, but that's your first impression. You only get one chance to have a first impression, and that was theirs, and it did not land with people. People, like, look at the backlash that just this wave of bring Henry Cavill back that started after it. It was ridiculous. So, like, the first schedule for the DCU is a mess. Like, it is a underwhelming disaster. You know, here's Superman. You're like, okay, but we're gonna absolutely cram it with a ton of other heroes. Like, why would you do that? Then it was like, and then you're getting the Authority, and then a Supergirl, and then Batman with the 6th version of Robin, which is Damian Wayne, a hated character. You're like, what are you doing? And then Buster Gold is going to be on TV. And then we're going to do a Wonder Woman show without Wonder Woman. That's going to be Game of Thrones on Themyscira. And then we're doing Creature Command. And people were just like, what the hell is this? And you realise, oh, it's James Gunn making what James Gunn enjoys, not what the audiences want to see and enjoy. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Everything with this DCU is hanging in the balance, and it's all on the shoulders of this Superman movie. If this movie doesn't work, it's done. I don't think they're going to get a second opportunity. You know, I don't think you can put out a bad Superman movie and then expect people to go and see a darker, edgier version of Supergirl. I just don't see it working. But we have our release date for Supergirl, which is now officially going to be the second movie in the brand new DCU, which is June 26th of 2026. So not anytime soon. So with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe. It does help the channel grow, and you have been doing great with that as well, so thank you. And I shall leave it there for this one. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.